Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Busy day, as we mentioned with Gino. All of our guests today are brought to you by the Alberni Power and Marine RPM Group. Mentioned the Canucks. Gino talked about them needing toughness. I'm looking at Mike Komisarek.
Tough.
Yeah, over 100 in penalty minutes, 3 seasons, close to 100, 4 seasons with the Montreal Canadiens. Maybe they could use Mike. But they won't be using Mike on the ice. They'll be using him off the ice. Mike Komisarek, longtime NHL defenseman with the Habs, the Leafs, the Hurricanes. We talked about this earlier this week. He has been named to the Canucks player development staff. He joins us now. Mike, thanks for doing this. How are you, sir?
Hey, Don. Hey, Rick. How are you?
Good. Very well. How did this all come about, Mike? Tell us about how it all came about and maybe what you knew of Jim Rutherford and Patrick Alvin before this.
Yeah, I kind of knew that they were looking to expand their player development department, and knew that this was something that they valued and understood, and the importance of, and thought it was a great opportunity. I played under Jim. Don't know Patrick very well, but there were some ties there with Jason Botterill, my old boss in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. I know they worked together closely in Pittsburgh. And then, had started having conversations with Cammy Granato and Ryan Johnson, and, they kind of filled me in on what they were looking to build out, and I got excited. I thought, having an opportunity to not only work with the prospects, but within this department with a lot of smart, respected folks in the hockey world, one, that there would be lots of communication, collaboration, and then having Sedin, Daniel Hendrick on there. Thought like it would be a really good fit, especially with Higgs, Chris Higgins too. Grew up with him. We were both on the same path growing up, and a lot of respect, and there's a familiarity and a friendship there as well. So thought it'd be a really good fit.
Both New York boys. So what exactly will your role be, Mike, and where will you be living?
So I'm in Connecticut on the East Coast. The plan is right now that Ryan Johnson and Higgs will cover the West. I will be based mostly out of the East Coast here, and then a lot of the U.S. prospects. Not sure if I'm going to be going overseas. I know they just hired Mikhail Samuelsson. There will be a focus on the defensemen. Just trying to pass along my small nuggets, my experiences. Be a sound board to these guys, be a mentor, and work with these guys not only to help them realize their potential of playing in the NHL, and hopefully being a part of an integral piece of a Stanley Cup winning team.
I don't know if you want to mention any names, but have you seen players through the years that you thought were surefire NHLers who missed out because they weren't developed properly?
Oh, man. Very good question. I don't want to name any guys, but definitely had my hand on, all these guys, their strengths and weaknesses, and the whole goal is to help them bridge that gap, but then also, the self-evaluation is a critical thing, right? Where these players think they are and who they are and who they might be at the NHL level. Like, I was a power play guy at Michigan and ended up being a physical shutdown, make a simple pass in the NHL, and that's how I made my living. But I think these guys, sometimes they have a vision. I think part of the role is kind of eliminating a lot of the white noise that's out there. These kids have, whether coaches, strength coaches, agents, parents, just making sure that they're focused on the right things, providing a structure, a routine, making sure they're in good habits. But to answer your question, maybe one or two guys stick out, but I think at the end of the day, you have to be genuine, you have to be authentic. You're invested in these kids, and you build a trust, a bond, and you're just trying to give them a little bit more awareness to what they could be, and what does that player look like, and how are we going to get there? And you're there every step of the way. I mean, there's so much work that's done. These kids are drafted on potential, and sometimes a certain skill set they might have to get them drafted, but from when you get drafted, you put on that jersey and hat. So much work needs to be done till you're a full-time NHLer.
Hey, Mike, you went 7th overall 21 years ago, so you know all about being a high draft pick. These prospects now, Mike, they're all eating right, they're training right, they're sacrificing, they got specialized coaching, they're all going to academies. Are you getting, when you draft these kids, are you getting a better product than 20 years ago when you went 7th overall?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I got drafted. I told the stories a couple times that when I got drafted, I didn't hear from Montreal till the day I signed my contract, which was 2 years later after my sophomore season.
Wow.
Really?
Now,
Wow.
Yeah, you don't really. I mean, the agents maybe having some dialogue on where they think, how your season went, what they would like to see, where you can improve. But there was no, player development back then. Now, I think you're right. These kids have access to a lot more much earlier, and we're all watching the playoffs, and you're seeing the speed and the skill and the grit, and these kids laying it all on the line. So it's a young league, right? Like these kids are stepping out of college and juniors and having major impacts. So yeah, it's very critical. I mean, it's a critical role bridging that gap from when they get drafted to the NHL.
Mike, when you break down why a prospect doesn't make it to the NHL, what are some of the reasons?
Very good question. At the end of the day, I think there's a lot of collaboration, I think, within the player development department, but then also when I was in Buffalo, we were talking to the amateur staff. We were sitting on their meetings, I learned a ton about just evaluation. Like I could see a player one way and you can see someone else. But at the end of the day, I think these kids have to have, you extend all the resources, right? We're in a great hockey market, great organization. They have tons of resources, whether it's sports psychologist, mental skills coach, strength and condition, nutritionist, you do, video analysis, all these different things that these kids are exposed to. You're kind of bridging that gap and sharing these resources with them. But at the end of the day, I think these kids just have to have that burning desire in their stomachs to improve, move forward. Like even when you're in the league, right? Like if you're not evolving and moving forward, you're going to get passed by. There's going to be guys that's taking your spot, your ice time, and being open to criticism, having that, like I said, the self-evaluation, taking a realistic look. Your year-end meetings, right? You're sitting down with the GM and the coaches. How do you think I did? What do you see my role? What can I do this summer? And a lot of times, sometimes I remember when I was younger, you're looking at the roster and you're thinking about, all right, is there going to be an opportunity? Is there a spot open? And you kind of push that aside and you focus on what you control and kind of grabbing that spot, right? You wanted to come into camp being a fit guy. Like I always use training camp. Like that's the start of my season. Like my training camp was in the off season in the summer. I wanted to start coming to camp, be the fittest guy, kill it on the testing, and then that first day on the ice, like I'm setting the tone, right? So getting these kids to kind of grab that opportunity, seize it, and hold on to it.
Mike, thanks for doing this. And by the way, you're joining a Vancouver organization that plays at Rogers Arena, where one day not that long ago you were taunted in the penalty box by the Green Men. Do you remember that?
My God, I remember like it was yesterday. I think those guys sent me a message on Twitter or something like that. I deleted my Twitter account a little while ago. Now I fired it back up. But those guys were great, really good sport. I don't know who they are, where they are, but I don't know, maybe in Vancouver, go grab a beer or something. They were awesome. They were pretty funny.
Yeah, go grab a beer with them, and you'll have to wear a green suit when you're having a beer with them. Those are the rules.
No one wants to see me in a green suit.
That makes two of us. Mike, thanks for this. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, fellas. I appreciate you guys having me on.
You bet.